What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush, Let's Talk Jets Radio. If you're not subscribed to our channel, please do so now. We broadcast live every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We're at Talk Jets Radio on Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate everybody that's been following and interacting with us. We missed Tuesday night show due to a storm. I had no power, so it's been a nightmare for about a week now. We hope everybody is well. You know, there's so much going on in this world right now. Sometimes it's very tough to focus on football. So we kind of get distracted and don't really do as much as we should, but we're trying to pick things back up. Check out njmmashop.com. It's a shirt that we launched to help raise. It's a fundraiser. We have an American flag shirt I have here somewhere where 10% of our proceeds go to Community Food Bank in New Jersey. So njmmashop.com. We definitely appreciate that as well. This video is about a bunch of things. Sam Darnold, Le'Veon Bell, some rankings. The team reported they're going through the COVID testing. They're doing a lot of strength and conditioning stuff. Not really any drills yet. Some transactions, C.J. Mosley, Josh Stockton opt out. Brian Winters was released. Quincy Newman was released. We covered a lot of that in the previous videos. Trenton Cannon was released. So now you're going through, where do we stand with this team? And the first thing that you go with is Le'Veon Bell. I mean, last year when he got signed here, you saw the workout videos. Like, oh my God, he looks in great shape. What is he going to bring to this offense? And it was kind of disappointing all the way around. From his perspective, the team's perspective, the offense sucked and everything else. This year, he looks ridiculously great, where he's probably got a chip on his shoulder because everybody's kind of counting him out. Everybody's discounting him and saying he's lost a step. He's not that good anymore. He's playing for a contract. So he's in phenomenal shape, and now you just got to hope. Hope that Adam Gase figures it out and finds ways to use him in the passing game. I'll keep saying it, where this offensive line has so much to gel as fast as possible. The best way to do that is with run blocking. So I'd run behind Becton. I'd just use Le'Veon Bell every way possible. If Adam Gase wants to get creative, do it with your running game. Find ways to get Le'Veon Bell the ball, especially early on in the season, and utilize, your best playmaker who's in probably the best shape of his life. So that is ridiculously encouraging. The other news, there's some, a lot of stories about the Jets salary cap space where they have $30 million and what are they going to do with it. The one thing you got to keep in mind is you can roll that money over. And next year the Jets do have whatever it is, say $50 million in cap space or whatever it's possibly going to be. But they're also going to have a ton of holes. Like all these guys they signed this year are all one-year deals. So in the holes that we have now, we got to address them as well. So Joe Douglas may carry this money over instead of go out and chasing a Logan Ryan or a Jadeveon Clowney or whoever it may be. And say, listen, we're going to go with what we have. If somebody falls in our hands, say if a prominent wide receiver gets cut and we can make a move like that, that could be a long-term fix, then we go for it. But to spend, say, $15 million on a player you know is not going to be here next year, probably not worth it when that money can be used to help build this future. I mean, this is Joe Douglas's first year to actually put his fingerprints all over this roster. He had to make a litany of moves. He had to clean out bad players. He had to clean out bad contracts. And now, this is part of the process. So the Jets aren't tanking. I just think they're limited with what they can do. And they got to look at the long term here. And the long term is starting next year where, like I said, you have a ton of holes, you have a ton of cap space, but you got to bring in quality players. And you have to spend some money too. Like this year, they didn't really break the bank for anybody. I think, George Fant made some good money, but they didn't really go nuts. But next year, I think if you're going to start trying to really build around Sam Darnold, you're going to have to spend some legitimate money to put guys around him. So the money, if it's not spent this year, gets rolled over next year, and it kind of makes sense. Like, listen, this team this year is going to be interesting. I mean, you get rid of Jamal Adams. You don't have no C.J. Mosley. It's going to be challenging to say, hey, this team's going to go 12-4. So Mike Clay of ESPN announced his position rankings. He looked at all teams throughout the NFL and ranked, by position group each team. So, Sam Darnold's been taken by some people, a lot of just being overly criticized and make or break year and tank for Trevor and all this. I don't buy any of that. I'll never understand it. If you call into the show and bring that point of view, good luck, because I'm going to roast you. Sam Darnold was ranked 26th. And I understand it. He had mono last year. There was times he played terribly. There's times he played very well. An inconsistent offensive line will make a young quarterback go batshit crazy. When you have inconsistent wide receivers, not ideal. Inconsistent play calling, not ideal. The sum of all the parts around Sam Darnold last year was not good, and it's not been a good start for him. There's times where he makes throws where you're like, this is the best throw I've seen from a Jets quarterback in 20 years, and then you'll see a throw, you're like, dude, that's Mark Sanchez. So he has a lot to prove. He's also young as hell, and his ceiling is still very high. I think he still has top 12 potential, maybe top 10 quarterback. He can do a lot of good things. It's just a matter of getting everything around him right. And that starts with being, upright, on his feet, not getting the shit beat out of him. So I understand the ranking of Sam Darnold 26. I can dispute it, but he has a lot to prove, and he's still young, and Adam Gase has to help him. So you look down the line, offensive line was ranked 19th. The Jets revamped it. You have Becton at left tackle, Fant, Alex Lewis, McGovern should be upgraded center. 19, listen, that as compared to last year is just bring it on. If we could see just consistent good snaps and Sam not running for his life on every play, that's progress. If you can actually establish the line of scrimmage and run the ball consistently, that's progress. So 19 is good. Hopefully it goes a little higher. My fear is that the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season is going to be really ugly just based on lack of practice time, a lack of chemistry, and lack of communication. I hope it's not the case, but it may be. So offensive line, he ranked 19th. Like I said, not the end of the world. That's progress. Running back, 19. I mean, Le'Veon Bell, I still think is a top 8, top 9 running back. Frank Gore, I don't know. Perrine, I wish they have Josh Adams. I would have brought back, I was hoping to bring back either Montgomery or Powell. I like both those players, especially Montgomery, but Bilal Powell is still very serviceable. And you kind of want that explosive guy. Like, you want that explosive, dynamic guy in the backfield. They don't really have that. Hopefully, Perrine could bring some of that. That's where Trenton Cannon, you kind of thought, like, you had that Tariq Cohen, Tyreek Hill kind of player. Taylor Gabriel's still out there if you want to bring a guy like that. But, I think running back is fair. I mean, the Jets, Bell it's all about Bell, to be honest with you. And hopefully they can make a lot better out of him than they did last year. Tight end is 20, where that's because Chris Herndon is just an unknown. He has all-world talent. We've seen him make great plays. He just can't stay on the field. So if he can play, you supplement him with Ryan Griffin and Wesco. That's a very good tight end group. I mean, that's you have a dynamic guy who can, could be your safety valve, could be a very good threat over the middle of the field that opens things up for the outside, and then you're good to go. It's just a matter of keeping him on the field. Ryan Griffin became a safety valve last year, a big target, reliable hands, scored some touchdowns. That's a good thing. Wide receiver, which has been, if you've been watching these videos, it's been my biggest bugaboo since the draft. They ranked the Jets wide receivers at 30th, and that's not good. We have to hope that this is just, they outperform everybody's expectations, where Crowder is a very good player. Perryman, what are you getting? I mean, in theory, the Jets have a lot of speed on the outside with Mims and Perryman. Crowder over the middle is good. It's just a matter of, can these guys get consistently open? Can they shed defenders? Can they get yards after the catch? Can they consistently catch the football? There are so many unknowns, and it's got to be a concern where everybody wants to talk about Vincent Smith and Braxton Berrios. Okay, I understand Lawrence Cager, but the thing is, like, undrafted free agents and these young guys are going to be so hard pressed to make an impression early on because there's not a lot of practice time. If you have 10 or 11 padded practices, how much are you going to learn? No preseason games. Like, when Mims gets pressed to the line of scrimmage, how can he adjust to that? Like, there's so many unknowns, especially at wide receiver. It's a concern. I'm begging to the football gods that some receivers become available during cuts the Jets can pick up and try to implement. I understand Demaryius Thomas is the name that everybody keeps bringing up. If that's the route you want to go, okay. But at some point, you want to have a group of guys that are with Sam Darnold for like 4 or 5 years. Like, you want to have, like, okay, this is our starting group for 3 years. Okay, Crowder, Mims, is Perryman that guy? Maybe he is, or whoever it is. But just get good, like, just solid playmakers around him. So if you look at the offense as a whole, running back 19, offensive line 19, tight end 20, wide receiver 30, quarterback 26. So not exactly based on these rankings, a great review for the Jets. But this is, if we're being honest, I think most of us are thinking, 6 or 7 wins this year. That's kind of where you are. And then it's like, you want to see them overachieve. You want to see them have a chip on their shoulder. Say, listen, you know what? We're going to prove everybody wrong. Adam Gase, year 2 of his offense, he did some self-scouting. He figured things out. We're going to be better. We're going to use Sam. We're going to use Sam in much, in scheme that we know he's better at. Rolling him out, getting him throws he likes, putting Le'Veon Bell in positions to succeed, having Chris Herndon back to be a big help, and then utilizing the speed on the outside, spreading the field. So to me, there's a lot of pressure on Adam Gase to get everybody on the same page as fast as possible and to make this offense at least a threat. Like, at least more than just the first 10 plays of each game. Like, make it a legitimate threat where this is a, 18th ranked offense. I mean, last year they were worse than football. If you go up 14 spots, that's a significant improvement. So that's what we're kind of looking at there. Defense, not a pretty picture. Defensive line was ranked 15th, and that makes sense. You have Quinn Williams, Steve McClendon, Foto Kasi, Nathan Shepard, All these guys in there. I mean, they have the defensive line is no doubt a strong point. Henry Anderson's still a quality player. I don't argue with that at all. I mean, it's probably right now with the loss of Mosley and Adams, probably the strength of their defense, and they're going to rely on them a lot to control the line of scrimmage and generate some type of pass rush. So they have edge rusher 31. Can't argue with that. Jordan Jenkins, I'm a big fan of him. He gets better every year. His sack numbers go up every year. But that explosive guy off the edge, the Jets still don't have. Now, people are going to say Zuniga, the rookie. But there's guys saying he's going to be a defensive lineman that can rush from the inside. The explosive guys on the outside, they still don't have. I wanted Marcus Golden. That didn't happen. You got to hope these other guys emerge. But it's been the Jets' biggest problem for years, outside rush. Greg Williams is going to have some challenges with that. They ranked, so bad, cornerback 32, which is crazy thinking what we had last year. I think a lot is based on the unknowns. I mean, Bless Austin, if he can stay healthy, he showed a lot of promise. Bryce Hall, rookie, highly touted. You have Pierre Desir. You have Arthur Millette. You have a lot of guys that could be serviceable. Now it's a matter of what can Greg Williams get out of them? Can he put a scheme around them? Are they going to do more zone? Are they going to be press? Are they going to be man-to-man? Like, what are they going to do? I think the Jets could surprise some people here. I think they have some talent there. It's a lot of young talent. I don't think going for Logan Ryan is the answer, but a lot of people are telling you it is. I think that this could be a surprising group, to be honest with you. Safety is 22nd, which I'm sure is a lot higher with Jamal here. But I think you have some things here. Like Marcus May is still a very good player. Ashton Davis, according to all reports, has excellent range. Range, great ball instincts. McDougald from the Seattle Seahawks, a very good safety. Not Jamal Adams level, but he's very interchangeable. Can do a lot of roles. Good to line of scrimmage. So 22nd in safety is not terrible. I guess the combination of having, fair safeties and fair corners could be a nightmare for the passing game or passing defense, especially if you have no blitz, if you have no pass rush. So that's probably where your concern is, where it's like, okay, if we can't get a pass rush and the corners and safeties can't get can't be consistent in coverage, we can get torched, especially when you play against very good offenses. So Greg Williams has his hands full. Not really sure how to diagnose it other than that. It's going to be really interesting to see how they play this all out. Middle linebackers, they have linebackers ranked 22nd. I don't have a really problem with that. C.J. Mosley is a loss, no doubt about that. But they also have very good players there. Avery Williamson's solid. He's not an all-pro. He's not a Pro Bowl linebacker. He's coming off an injury, so he's probably going to be a little bit less than he was. But you have Burgess, you have Hewitt, you have Owase, you have all these guys. The Jets have a lot of good parts in the middle. Blake Cashman. They have a lot of decent linebackers in the middle that can play roles. Like one thing in Greg Williams' defense you'll notice is a lot of parts are interchangeable. At safety, at corner, at linebacker, even the defensive line, he moves the guys around a lot. So I think the defense, it's like as individuals, as groups, they may not be ranked that high, but as a cohesive unit, if you evaluate the defense as a whole, I still think they'll be okay. I think that's it's going to be scheme. And the one thing you worry about is now that everybody saw Greg Williams' defense last year with the scheme with the Jets, will they be on to him this year? Because right now, teams have nothing but time to evaluate tape. That's all you're doing. So how can he adjust? How can he adapt? How much do these new guys bring to the table? And then you find out. But overall, if you look at the rankings of this team, it's not very high. You have a lower ranked team, a team that's 6 and 10. It just is what it is. I mean, you're like a top 25. It's just in that range, and that's kind of my expectation. Like in order for this team to just come on gangbusters, Sam Darnold has to torch it up, just light it up. The defense can be able to hold their own, but the offense has got to be the one that just wins games for them. And that comes down to Gase, Bell, and Sam Darnold. Get this offensive line on the same page and then just do your best you can to win football games. So I don't really have a problem in these rankings. I entered this season kind of cautiously optimistic. I have concerns in certain places. Other areas I'm more confident than others. But it's going to be interesting. There's so many unknowns. Right now you're hoping to get to week 1 where everybody can play. How does this all work out with the testing and the quarantine? Joe Flacco's going to be out for the first couple weeks. I still think the Jets should sign another quarterback that can actually play. Because what happens if Flacco's out 3 games? Then what are we doing here? We're going to go with David Fales? We're just going to mail in games like we did last year? I just don't agree with it. I've been saying this this isn't first guessing. I've been saying this for weeks. Like, bring in somebody else. Like, it should have been Matt Moore, to be honest with you. But it's just, I don't like having this, 2 or 3 games of no backup quarterback for Sam Darnold. That game, if you lose one of those games, at the end of the season, you could be what? Say you're 8-7. You need to win a game to make the playoffs. That lost game, just basically you didn't have a backup quarterback, could hurt you. So, whatever. I mean, this video is 15 minutes long. Holy shit. So, kind of like little thoughts on the rankings, thoughts on Bell. I know I made probably a bunch of blunders that you guys are all going to point out. We're back live on Tuesday. Hope everybody is well. T-Roush21 on Twitter. And that's it. Talk to you guys next time.